The day she walked into the CEO's sleek office, everyone in the building froze. A young woman, tall and determined, carried the weight of a promise she wasn't sure she could keep her father's debt. The tension in the air was thick, and whispers floated across the room. No one expected someone like her to confront a man as powerful and untouchable as the CEO. Her heart pounded as she stepped closer, clutching the envelope that could change everything. She had grown up watching her father struggle, always putting others before himself, and now it was her turn to take charge. She wasn't just here for money, she was here for justice, for honor, for the promise she made to her family. The CEO, a man known for his strict rules and icy demeanor, looked up from behind his polished desk. His gaze was sharp, assessing, yet there was something unexpected flickering in his eyes: curiosity, maybe even a hint of amusement. "Do you know how much this could cost you?" he asked calmly, his voice echoing in the quiet room. She swallowed hard, ready to explain, ready to plead. But then, he did something no one saw coming. Instead of the judgment or anger she expected, he leaned back, a faint smile playing on his lips, and said words that would leave her and everyone watching stunned. "You owe me nothing." But dinner together? What would she do next? Could a simple meal really settle a debt that felt like it had haunted her family for years? The answer would change everything, but for now, the room held its breath. She hesitated, caught between relief and confusion. Dinner, that was it. All the months of worry, all the sleepless nights she spent, calculating every possible way to pay back her father's debt, and the CEO was offering something so unexpected. Her mind raced. Was this some kind of trick? A test? Or did he genuinely mean what he said? The CEO watched her carefully, as if he could read every thought flickering across her face. He gestured toward a chair, inviting her to sit, but she remained standing, stubborn pride warring with her exhaustion. She remembered her father's words from years ago: face problems with courage, not fear. And so, with a deep breath, she took a tentative step forward. Her journey here hadn't been easy. Growing up in a small town, she had watched her father labor tirelessly to provide for their family. He had always been honest, always respected his commitments, even when it meant sacrifices they could barely afford. But one mistake, one loan taken in desperation, had turned their lives upside down. She had worked extra jobs, skipped meals, and saved every penny just to get here. And now, standing in the CEO's office, she realized she didn't fully understand the man behind the desk or why he seemed different from what the stories said outside the office. The city buzzed with life, oblivious to the quiet storm unfolding within. Every heartbeat seemed louder, every second stretched into eternity. She still didn't know what would happen next, or what this dinner truly meant, but one thing was certain: her life was about to change, and not in the way she had expected. She finally sank into the chair, the leather cool against her skin, her hands still trembling slightly from the adrenaline. The CEO leaned back, his fingers steepled on the desk, and studied her with a quiet intensity. There was an unspoken challenge in his gaze, as if he were daring her to reveal her story, her struggles, her fears. She felt exposed, yet strangely empowered. This was her chance to show that she wasn't just a girl carrying a debt, but a person who had fought every day to survive and protect her family. As she opened her mouth to speak, memories of her father's sacrifices flooded her mind. Late nights at the factory, the empty dinner table, his worried eyes when bills piled up. She wanted him to know that she had carried his burden, that she had tried, even when it felt impossible. But at the same time, there was something about the CEO that unsettled her. He wasn't just a man with power and money. He seemed to understand something deeper, something she wasn't ready to face. Meanwhile, beyond the office walls, small subplots were quietly intertwining. The CEO's assistant, who rarely showed emotion, watched the encounter with a hint of curiosity. Staff whispered in corners, some skeptical of the young woman, others quietly rooting for her courage. And there was the larger question of why this CEO, known for being ruthless in business, would suddenly show this unexpected kindness, or was it strategy? Her thoughts spun as she realized that this dinner wasn't just a meal. It was a test, a doorway into a world she didn't know, and perhaps a chance to uncover truths about herself and him that neither of them could ignore. The tension hung in the air, thick and unbroken, leaving her heart pounding as the next moments loomed uncertainly ahead. The room seemed to shrink around her as the CEO finally broke the silence. "I want to hear everything," he said, his voice calm but commanding. "Not just the numbers, not just the debt, but why you're here, why you care so much." She swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words. Every instinct told her to guard her story, to hide her family's struggles, but something in his gaze made her hesitate. Curiosity, maybe even empathy, shimmered beneath his usual steel. She began to speak, her voice quiet at first, then stronger as she recounted her father's sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the fear of losing everything. Each word seemed to echo in the polished office, every detail painting a vivid picture of resilience and desperation. The CEO listened without interruption, his expression unreadable. Yet there was a subtle shift, a slight narrowing of his eyes, a small nod that hinted he was seeing her not as a debtor, but as a person. Outside, the tension in the building mirrored her own. Staff who had watched the exchange whispered nervously, wondering what would happen next. The assistant glanced toward the door, sensing that something unprecedented was unfolding. This wasn't just a simple repayment. It was a collision of two worlds, one of raw determination, the other of untouchable power, and neither side fully understood the consequences yet. As she finished, the CEO leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk, fingers entwined. "You've come this far," he said slowly. "But are you ready to face the truth about why your father's debt ended up here, and what it really means for you?" Her breath caught. The words were heavy, carrying the promise of revelations that could change everything. In that moment, the calm of the office shattered into a quiet storm, leaving her and the audience on the edge of something neither could yet predict. Just as she was beginning to catch her breath, ready to respond to the CEO's cryptic question, the office door swung open. Her heart skipped a beat. A man in a crisp suit entered, holding a folder that looked far too official to belong in this intimate confrontation. "Sir," he said, addressing the CEO, "we've just received news. It's about the debt. There's more to it than we thought." The CEO's calm facade didn't falter, but a flicker of concern crossed his eyes, just enough for her to notice. He gestured for the man to sit, and the envelope he handed over landed on the desk between them. Her curiosity spiked, her pulse racing. Could this be the key to understanding why her father's debt had reached this office in the first place? Or was it something far more dangerous, something that would change everything she thought she knew? As the CEO opened the folder, she caught glimpses of documents, numbers, and letters that didn't make sense to her, but the tension in his posture spoke volumes. His usual air of unshakable authority now had an edge of uncertainty. "It seems," he said slowly, "that there are people who want more than repayment. They want leverage, and they've been watching your family for months." Her stomach dropped. She had thought that debt was the only obstacle, but now it felt like stepping into a larger, more dangerous game. Fear mixed with determination as she realized that her actions, her courage, and her father's past were entangled in something far bigger. The stakes had risen, and the calm dinner she had imagined was now the center of a storm she couldn't yet control. The office fell silent as the CEO closed the folder and leaned back, his expression unreadable. She braced herself, unsure whether relief or disappointment would come first. Then he spoke, his voice steady but firm. "Your father's debt. It's not what it seemed. The people behind it were never interested in money. They wanted control, leverage over him, over your family. And by stepping in today, you've shown more courage than he ever could." Her eyes widened. All the fear, all the worry she carried for years, suddenly shifted into something she hadn't expected. Relief but also disbelief. The CEO continued, explaining that the debt had been a trap, part of a scheme to manipulate her father's business, and that her brave decision to face it head-on had undone their plan. The sense of danger that had hovered over her family for months was finally starting to lift. Then, just as she was absorbing the news, the CEO smiled, a small, genuine smile she had never seen before. "And that's why," he said, "you don't owe me anything. The dinner, it's not just a gesture. It's a celebration of your courage and integrity. Your father raised a remarkable daughter." She felt a rush of emotion, tears welling in her eyes. But before she could respond, the unexpected twist hit. The CEO's phone buzzed, and his assistant handed it to him discreetly. His calm expression hardened again as he read the message. "Well," he said slowly, looking at her, "it seems the game isn't over. Someone else has taken notice of your courage, and they're coming. But for tonight, we eat." Her heart raced, and not from fear, but from the realization that her journey was far from finished. The debt was gone, the trap neutralized, but a new challenge waited just beyond the office walls, promising danger and opportunities she hadn't imagined. The tension in the room slowly melted as the CEO closed his phone and leaned back in his chair, finally allowing a sense of ease to settle over them both. She let out a shaky breath, realizing the weight she had carried for months was finally lifted. The debt that had haunted her family, the constant worry, the sleepless nights, it was all over. Her courage had not only protected her family, but had also earned the respect of someone she had once feared. The dinner that followed was more than a meal. It was a quiet celebration of resilience, honesty, and the power of facing challenges. As they talked, she began to see the CEO not just as a powerful businessman, but as someone who recognized the strength of character, someone who understood that courage and integrity mattered more than money or power. Their conversation drifted from the debt to her dreams, her father's legacy, and even the future she wanted to create for herself. Outside, life continued, but inside, she felt a profound shift. She realized that challenges weren't always about the burdens we carry. They were about the choices we make and the courage we summon when no one is watching. The people who had sought to manipulate her family had been defeated, not by wealth or power, but by determination and honesty. As she left the office, walking into the evening light, she felt stronger, more confident, and ready for whatever came next. The debt was gone, the threat neutralized, and she understood something essential. True strength isn't about what you owe or what you lose. It's about standing tall when it matters most.